Happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. Today is Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. This is episode 234 of The Daily Dope. So welcome aboard. If this is your first time catching the show, do want to point out this is a live stream. So it looks a little different than some of the other gaming videos that you see out there. This is a weekday stream, Monday through Friday, and very, very casual. Just chatting about tabletop games, do some reviews, do some unboxings, share some news, have an interview from time to time, which I happen to have one tonight because I'm trying to make Tuesdays kind of like Talky Tuesdays or Talking Tuesdays. So I will get to that in just a moment. But welcome aboard. As I mentioned, this is a live stream. It is through YouTube. There is chat available. It's not on the screen. It's one of the ways that I'm able to keep some of these stranger commenters at bay. But if you have a question, or if you want to say hello, or maybe you want to ask me about the new expansion for Shards of Infinity, Relics of the Future, by all means, ask. Type it on in. I will respond. This is just a small expansion, so I knew I was going to unbox it and show that off today. But I also wanted to interview someone who I ran across the organization. I want to say it was a couple of months ago. Dungeon Plus magazine ran a feature about the Dots RPG project, and earlier today, just a little while ago, I had an opportunity to sit down and interview Jess Dempsey from Dots RPG and talk to her about all the great work that they're doing as they focus on bringing the wonder of tabletop role-playing games to a wider audience, folks who are visually impaired, and some talk about actually branching out further than that. So, very interesting interview. It's about 25 minutes long, so I do want to point that out. It's coming up in just a little bit, but I do have a wee bit of news. Not a ton of news today, but a wee bit of news. So this is kind of a crazy show. I'm going to have some news, I've got an interview, then I'm going to do an unboxing. I've never actually done all that in one show before, so first time for everything, right? All right, so let's jump on into the news. I know there are some folks out there who are not fans of sitting through the tabletop gaming news. If that's the case, take a look in the show notes below. I say it all the time. If you don't want to check out the news, just skip ahead. There are time codes there that will say what's going on at what time. Okay, so let's hop on into it. Just real quick, I'm taking a look. CPU looks good. Drop frames are okay. I'm, I got paranoid after those two shows were super choppy last week. But looks like everything should be a-okay. All right, so there is a new fantasy board game / RPG hybrid, which is up for Kickstarter funding. It's from Druid City Games, and I've got the dope on Valor and Villainy, Minions of Mordok. Valor and Villainy is an RPG board game where you can wreak havoc on the world as the evil wizard Mordok, or form an opposing band of heroes to thwart their wicked schemes. Wouldn't it be his wicked schemes? Don't know. The heroes embark on a quest to locate ancient shrines that will shrivel the wizard's magic. Mine's out of the gutters. People, magic. While the wizard does every bit of meddling they can to overwhelm them and achieve ultimate cosmic power. The game ends as the wizard returns for the throne and fireballs fly in an epic battle to determine the winner. Gotta point out, not a lot of sell sheet info for this game, but Druid City does have a Kickstarter video. It's a couple of minutes long. Let's kick back and give it a watch.
King Shapiro has perished. In a freak catapult accident. Cackling with glee, his sleazy advisor Mordak menaces the population. Foolish mortals, your beloved king's been catapulted. Now enjoy my 6-day procession of horrors before I return with unfathomable power to claim my rightful seat at the throne. A lofty promise for an amateur wizard.
In Valor and Villainy, one player controls the evil wizard, while the others choose from 6 unique heroes to form an opposing dream team. The heroes work together, exploring the map to locate ancient shrines that diminish the wizard's magic. Meanwhile, Mordak does every bit of meddling he can to overwhelm the heroes and achieve ultimate cosmic power. The game ends with the wizard's return, and fireballs fly in an epic final battle against the heroes to determine the winner. The game is played by using action points to move your hero and perform their skills. When using a skill, you'll roll your hero's dice and score a number of hits. For a basic attack, your hits must be enough to either flip a minion and wound it, or defeat it outright. Larger threats need bigger rolls, so heroes must combo their spells, gear, and unique abilities to succeed. And after every turn, you level up, significantly improving your hero's power. A scheming wizard, a randomized board, minions, treasures, and 100 hilarious spells will make Valor and Villainy a memorable game every time you play.
Valor and Villainy. Minions of Mordak is for 2 to 6 players, ages 12 and up. Plays around 25 minutes per player. Not 25 minutes, 25 minutes per player. So that's cool. I like a good epic kind of game. Do want to point out the project did fund in the first hour, and you can reserve a copy of the retail edition for a $39 pledge, or the exclusive Kickstarter edition for a $59 pledge. This crowdfunding project does run through February 15th, with an expected delivery of January 2020. Rats, I was hoping to be a little quicker than that. So this looks pretty interesting. Looks pretty cool. Steve Romer, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, chimes in saying hi. Howdy, Steve. Thanks for popping in tonight to give the show a watch. Moving along, second news piece. This summer is going to bring an interesting looking fantasy game. Yet another fantasy game. This is from IDW Games, and I've got the dope. The Towers of Arcanos, I'm taking a guess at that pronunciation, is a dice drafting tower building game for 2 to 4 players. Fast and fun family gaming that plays in about 20 to 30 minutes. In the Towers of Arcanos, I like Arcanos. I like that the best. Towers of Arcanos. Players must jointly build arcane towers to channel the power of past civilizations. For this, you master your apprentices and must use magic stones, dice, and apply abilities written in the Book of Magic, acquiring prestige and becoming the magician with incredible reputation in the kingdom. This is a horribly written sell sheet. It's like, gosh, what's going on? Anyway, the player will control one of the magic schools, different colors, from the realms of Dunagor, and try to build the magic towers in order to gain more prestige points to be appointed the greatest wizard of the realm. Will you take the wizard's robe and accept the challenge, or be forgotten by the Magic High Council of the realm? The Towers of Arcanos, the Towers game from IDW Games is for 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, plays in around 30 to 45 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it releases this August. So another game that's kind of far out there. Wish I could share more images because This has a pretty nice table presence from some of the photos I've seen. Problem is, the photos are not from the design team or from IDW Games, so I can't really use them. But looks pretty cool as you're creating these towers with your dice. So that is something to keep an eye out for this August. All right, my final news piece. Green Couch Games has an upcoming family-friendly game entitled Filler, and I've got the dope. And it's not called Filler because it's a filler game. All right? In Filler, players employ multi-use cards and a blend of simultaneous action selection, time and resource management, set collection, and hand building to collect ingredients needed to fill tasty pastries on their way to becoming the star baker. Get it? Filling pastries? Filler? Starting with a hand of 3 cards with various start times and basic ingredients, players choose a card to reveal along with another player's to determine the turn order. The earliest player to show up for work goes first. Using cards from their hands, their pantry, players may use ingredients they've acquired to fill recipes from a central row of available cards, the recipe book, or restock the pantry by picking up all of their previously played cards. Each recipe filled provides, where did I get promises? Each recipe filled provides new start times and ingredients to use in future rounds and may earn points that are represented by money, customer reviews, or critical acclaim at the end of the game. The ability of bonus points and cards containing special actions to help direct players' choices in the kitchen, add depth of play, and provide variety and replayability. Filler is for 1 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays it around 20 to 30 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $15 when it arrives in May. So that one's at least a little bit closer to now. We've got January 2020. We've got May. We had August. So there was a little bit of other news out there, but I didn't want to do a ton of news today, simply because I do have the interview with Jess Dempsey. I'm doing the unboxing in just a few minutes. So I didn't want the show to be running, hour and a half, 2 hours, because there are some times where I do a lot of news and it's like 35, 40 minutes of news. So do want to point out before I bring on the interview, do want to mention that if you are not aware of this, all profits coming into the gaming gang and of course the Daily Dope are now being donated to Lil Bub's big fund at the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the ASPCA. Oh, I'm kind of out of it today. I don't know what's going on. Maybe because I did an interview earlier. I don't know. So, do want to point out, I got Lil Bub's little book today. Yes, and of course I've got my little whiz bub up here. Here's little whiz bub. So, anyway, if you are not familiar with, I know, people think I'm nuts. If you're not familiar with Lil Bub's big fund at the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, it is a fund that is specifically put for animals that have special needs. So animals that are awaiting adoption who have special needs. Now, they might be blind, they might be deaf, they might have mobility issues like Lil Bub did. Still does, but Lil Bub goes through some pretty cool like magnetic kind of, it's like what is it called? I want to say it's called the a CC ring. That's what it is. That helps Lil Bub get around. So anyway, I ran across this cat a few weeks back, and I thought, hey, you know what? It's not like I'm getting rich doing this. Why not donate the profits that come into the gaming gang to Lil Bub's big fund? So, saying that, I'm not asking you for money, right? I'm not telling you, hey, go to my Patreon page, anything like that. I'm just saying, hey, if you like the gaming gang, if you like watching the Daily Dope, by all means, consider making a donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund. And I'm not saying go donate $50 or anything like that. If you donate $5, $1, whatever, it's fantastic. Do want to point out too, if you do make a donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund, then shoot me an email. My email is right in the bottom corner there. Send me an email. I will give you a special shout out on the following show. Okay, so, and here's Lil Bub's. Lil Bub's Lil Book, which is supposed to be, I just got it. It just came 10 minutes before the show started. And it's loaded with all this photography of Lil Bub. So it's like Lil Bub's story about how she landed here on Earth. So, yeah. I'm sorry, but I find this little cat and her owners very inspirational. It's very, they've raised over $500,000 to help special needs animals, and I think last year they were able to donate through, I think it's like Halo Pet Food, not a company I'm familiar with. Through Halo Pet Food, I guess they donated 1.5 million bowls of pet food to various different shelters out there. So the Lil Bub's Big Fun, I do want to mention one last thing. And hey, Steve is mentioning, oh, he has a deaf dog. Oh, wow. I have known a couple of people who had blind cats. And that was amazing. It really, really was. I was like, oh my gosh. The funny thing is, the animals don't know they're deaf. They don't know they're blind. They just think, hey, this is how things are, right? So one thing I do want to point out, because a lot of people freak out about charities and things like that. And I have to admit, from what I've seen, the ASPCA does not necessarily always donate 100% of the funds that come in to what have you, which is not unusual for charities. I mean, that's the fact of life. But I do want to point out, Lil Bub's Big Fund is paid out in grants, and 100% of the funds that are raised do go out to these organizations taking care of special needs animals. So that's important for me to point out. All right, so strangely enough, I was talking about like blind cats. I had an opportunity to, and I wasn't trying to segue. That's kind of an oddball segue, but did have an opportunity earlier today to talk with Jess Dempsey from Dots RPG Project. And as I mentioned earlier, I ran across an article in Dragon Plus. Oops, got to make sure I say it right. Dragon Plus. It's not Dragon Magazine anymore. It's all right, but it's certainly no dragon. But they had an article about Dots RPG, and I found this very fascinating. I reached out, and Jess Dempsey was very kind to sit down with me through Skype today and tell me all about the Dots RPG project. Jess Dempsey, thank you so much for joining me tonight. We are going to be talking about something that I thought was really, really interesting when I first was exposed to it back a couple of months ago in Dragon Plus magazine. And we are going to talk about how you're related to the world champion boxer Jack Dempsey. So I'm teasing. We're going to talk about... Actually, I talked to somebody whose last name was Yeager, and I jokingly asked, are you related to Chuck Yeager? And they said, yes, I am. And I was like, oh gosh, here I was kidding.
Uh-oh.
And they said he wasn't very nice. So anyway, as a kid, we're going to talk about the Dots RPG project. And from my understanding, the project is basically to bring the wonder of tabletop role-playing games to the visually impaired. Am I correct in that, Jess?
Yes. Yep. So we actually started out dealing primarily with people that were fully blind, as opposed to had just minor visual impairments. 2018, last year had been a whirlwind of activity. And we made it out into the public eye and realized that there was a need for a lot more catering to different disabilities.
Okay.
So what we have planned going forward is addressing multiple different kinds of disabilities. As of right now, yes, we have only catered to the fully blind or partially visually impaired groups.
And for some of the viewers out there, I would think there's kind of probably a misconception that people would have that if someone were to be blind, how can they enjoy role-playing games where it's all about imagination and visualizing things in your head?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the same way that it would be for a sighted individual reading a fiction novel.
Sure.
If you have no pictures in there, it's about as descriptive as the author is with their settings, with their characters, with their people. The same thing goes for tabletop games. D&D and all other tabletop games included. It depends on how descriptive your DM is, or
Right.
if you are the DM, how much description can you give to their players that will immerse you in that world the same way that fiction books do.
I would actually point out to people who are kind of confused about that would be, jump back 60, 70 years, you didn't have television, you had radio, and all entertainment was through the radio. It was not a visual medium, it was all audio.
Right. And it's nice nowadays that we have, podcasts are huge now where they weren't a couple of years ago. And it's the same thing all over again. We see people that do game streams both on Twitch that have the visuals, and then there's people that podcast form only, and they have to make sure to be extra descriptive because their listeners can't see what's going on. It's the same thing for the visually impaired. Just, they can't see what's going on the Twitch stream, but they can sure hear everything.
Am I correct in understanding that your friend Jack Berberet am I correct in pronunciation there? Okay, Jack Berberet actually founded Dots RPG.
Yes, he did. So in like mid to late 2017, he met an individual, D, at a convention down in Virginia, and Jack was at his table. He was playing whatever game he was playing, and noticed the person sitting next to him was DMing a different game, but was highly descriptive, and pretty much everyone in the room was paying attention to what this man was doing.
Sure.
Jack went to have a conversation with him and I love your DM style, and realized that he was blind. And pun not included, that kind of opened Jack's eyes a little bit and said, well,
I knew that was coming as soon as you said pun.
You have to say it. You have to say it.
Right?
Sure. But it is a bit of an eye-opener to have the center of attention of the room as, this is one of the best DMs in the room, can't read the book.
I wasn't in the room, so, we're not going there. I mean, I'm world renowned, at least in my head. Yeah.
That sounds about right. But yeah, so Jack and D, they kind of joined forces, and Jack is just that type of person that he puts anyone and everyone above himself, and he's got that heart that just loves to give. And when he connected with D, he said, well, how can I make your life easier? I see you can't roll your own dice because there's no dice out there that will, there's a few different versions of Braille dice, but they weren't easily accessible, and they were not ideal in use. Of course, not saying anything negative about the other designs. They're just not the best when it comes to using them.
Okay. They weren't intuitive?
Yeah. Or there's some style choices that were made that kind of hinders the use of the Braille, which is, it's kind of the whole point. But the important thing is that people were trying, and people were working through the problems, and people were trying to make it happen. So the end of 2017, there's actually a video up on our website, on our About page, of Jack and D discussing the dice. D came up with the idea
Right.
It's quicker. If you only have to read one letter versus 2 or 3.
Sure, right. Exactly. Sure. And I understand, doesn't the 20-sider, it's like the first 20 letters in the alphabet.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
A through T.
Sweet.
We have, I don't know how well it'll show up on camera.
Well, I was showing off some of the images while you were talking, so yeah.
Yeah, these
You can hold it up. It's even better. It's live.
It's live.
Look at that. Look at that live 20-sider there.
That is actually the letter T, and which stands for the number 20.
Right. So
And
that's a
so-
critical hit right there.
Yep.
There you go.
This bumpy part on the bottom is your orientation. It tells you which way you're supposed to be reading it.
Ah, okay, cool. I was
Since-
wondering about that.
Each way, if you try to read it a different way, it may become a different letter.
Sure. Okay.
So there's that orientation edge on the dice. But yeah, so we went through and worked on that new design that Dee had come up with. Unfortunately, he passed away in January of 2018.
I saw that. That
Yeah,
was
we actually
too bad.
hit that 1-year anniversary on Saturday, January 19th. So it's definitely sad that he didn't get to use the final version of the dice because
Oh, wow.
they were 3D modeled only in March of
Okay.
2018. So he never got
Sure.
to use the final version. And he didn't get to see everything that Dots has become today, but this is something that we're continuing because of him and for him.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you kind of join Dots because you're friends with Jack, and then all of a sudden now it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's like the Jess show.
My involvement went from 0 to 100 really quickly.
Goes to 11, right? Yeah, just like Spinal Tap. Goes
Yeah,
to 11.
something like that. Jack, I met online through a dice collecting group, the Dice Maniacs Club.
Okay.
And he was.
Oh, you're one of those people. Okay. No,
I may or may not be an admin over in that group. So.
may or may not. Usually when people say that, it's usually may.
I may. But Jack was looking for help finding somebody that could mass manufacture the dice.
Sure, right.
And I was like, oh, I got, pick a name, pick a style. Like I've got, 30, 40 contacts for you.
Sure, right.
And we got to talking more and more, and we realized, there would be some difficulties with them in mass production. But so I started working with Jack over the next few months, and then he ended up having to take a few steps back because he has some health issues going on right now.
Oh, okay.
And Dots is very intense and it's all in the best ways, but there's definitely a lot of things going on. And doctor's orders were like, no stress, take care of yourself.
Sure, right.
So he's taken a little bit of a backseat for a while. So it's the Jess show, and I'm okay with that.
There you go.
I've got a great team of probably about 10 people that are, heavily supporting and heavily working with me on things. My partner Joey works on the 3D modeling. We've got friends Tyler. We've got web developer John. We've got people that are working on networking for us. So I'm slowly but surely developing my team of people that are helping out. But it's small. Yeah, it's still a very small operation.
Well, but the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that all role-playing game operations are small. What are they at? 20, 25 people over at Wizards of the Coast working on D&D? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's smaller than people think.
And they put out all that content. Yeah, and it's just a great thing to show that, you don't need a whole lot to get started and make some positive change in the world. And that's kind of what we're pushing everybody else to do, is saying like, hey, we could do it. Why don't you come join us and let's make the world a better place?
So as far as the dice, am I correct that you actually have 3D printer files that are available? Also, people can purchase the dice as well?
Yeah, so we have the 3D printer files available for free download. That's either on our website or on Thingiverse, which is a popular site for getting 3D models.
Okay.
The dice themselves, you can actually purchase pre-printed from Shapeways. We have a Shapeways store. Now,
okay.
the Shapeways, a set of 7 dice is going to run you about $60.
Okay.
And that is really unattainable for the people that we need to get this in the hands of.
I was going to say something, but I thought, well, I'm not going to be rude and say,
No.
what?
We try to keep the cost as low as we can. We're not making any profit off of those Shapeways sales. That's their bare minimum cost of production and finishing and shipping and all that comes out to $60. Right. So it's great that it's there, but with many of the people that we want to get these in the hands of, it's just not something that they can afford.
So there are ways for people to actually make donations to help get those dice into people's hands then.
Yeah, so we have we actually just launched our Patreon last week.
Oh, okay.
So we have Patreon. We have our PayPal open for donations. We also offer I have on our site, there's our mailing address. If somebody has a 3D printer, wants to download the file and just run off a whole bunch of sets and send them to us, we'll get them in the hands of people that need them.
Cool.
We're also setting up, we have what's called the Dots family, and that's going to be a network of schools, libraries, local game stores, pretty much anyone that wants to get involved, that we are going to be donating our dice to, as well as Braille rulebooks for various games that we transcribe. And
that is something I want to talk about too next.
That lending library, so we can get it into more people's hands instead of just, giving a set to John Smith and then it lives at his house.
Right,
forever. We put it in the game stores, then it can reach a lot more people.
And of course, I will have links to the various different sites and things like that in the show notes. So speaking about transcription, this is something that I found pretty interesting because, of course, you need Braille rule books.
Right.
What has been transcribed? Because I had to laugh because I saw what appeared to be the second edition of the Black Hack, which I think is a really great OSR system. Look at this. Hey, and this was not set up, folks. I swear I just pulled this off. I believe you've got some 5th edition books as well that have been transcribed.
The 5th edition D&D books are not officially done yet because we are waiting for our 501c3 paperwork to become finalized to have all that legalese done with Wizards.
Sure, right. Now, are those SRD or are they just everything from the Player's Handbook, the DM's Guide, Monster Manual?
Can't confirm or deny anything yet.
That's okay. It may or may not be.
Yeah, may or may not. No, we're definitely going to do the core rule books, the core 3, full book cover to cover. As far as any modules after that, we don't have any concrete plans for them yet.
Sure.
But
I understand that.
Possibly, yeah. But we're definitely going to Braille in double-sided paper.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, I have, well, if everybody knows the Black Hack, pages are not that
it's pretty
big.
short. Yeah, it's kind of digest size. It's
but
not really, no.
Yeah.
That's not terrible, though.
in Braille, it becomes an inch thick volume.
Right.
So it's definitely...
So a player handbook becomes War and Peace. Yep, I get it.
Player handbook,
Or the stand, all 1,800 pages or so of the stand, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be dividing the books up into, like, different chapters, so it'll be easier to navigate. And also, since we're having the books at lending libraries, the thought is you can just pick and choose what chapter you need.
Right. Okay.
You know, if there happens to be multiple blind gamers at that store, you know, maybe one needs the spell book and maybe one needs the character builder. So we're able to make that book available in just one copy to multiple people.
Sure. Now, are they also available for purchase for individuals as well?
No.
Okay.
And that is in agreement with all of our publishers.
Got it.
Like I said, we have other, going on the list, we have different 5e supplements. There's been conversations with Paizo and Cobalt Press.
Oh, I don't like those guys. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding. Eric's fun. I always interview Eric.
We love all of them. But yeah, there's quite a few. There's quite a few big names. There's quite a few small names that we're happy to add to the group.
Right.
And my agreement with everybody is that we are only donating these books to a previously established location.
Sure.
Something, whether it be a local game store, a library, a school, a community center. These books are not going to be for sale at all. Okay. And they will not be made available to individuals unless it's a certain circumstance. Like if there's somebody that's in the middle of the desert that their closest store is 200 miles away, sure. But
I think they have bigger concerns if they're in the middle of the desert than playing RPGs, but that's just me.
Hey, you need something to do. It's only so long that you can stare at that dust cloud.
That's right.
But yeah, all the books are going to be donation only. And we've, you know, in our contracts with the publishers, we say, you know, hey, there may be locations that want to compensate us for shipping or materials or something like that. And, you know, in that case, we'll accept that, but we cannot sell the products because we're not being licensed as a reseller.
Exactly, right. What else is cooking with Dot's RPG project that you can share? I'm sure you've got your irons and tons of fires out there.
Well, we are taking the time these first few months out of the year to learn. And we're learning about different disabilities. We're learning how it affects gameplay, how it affects people's lives. One of the, well, I guess two of our big partnerships that we have going on, a friend of mine has a website, accessible-rpg.com, and it has a list of how different disabilities, both physical and mental, may affect gameplay. And another partner that we're going to be working a lot closer with very soon is RPG Research.
Okay.
And Hawk over there, Hawk Robinson at RPG Research, has been doing a tremendous amount of work on the benefits of RPGs in therapy settings, whether it be physical or mental. So there's a lot of things that we need to learn to figure out how we can best cater to people.
Sure.
So we're going to, it's kind of an open door at this point. You know, we're asking people, what is it you need? Like, educate us, tell us, because I, as a fully able-bodied person, and, you know, most of my team as fully able-bodied people, don't know.
Right. And
so
the average gamer doesn't either. So you know, like I had mentioned early on in the interview, I would assume that there's a vast number of people who would think, my gosh, if you're visually impaired, how could you, you know, if you're blind, how do you play role-playing games? If you're deaf, how do you play role-playing games? It can be done. So.
There's a team that I'm involved with that is working on universal ASL symbols for 5th edition D&D as well.
Oh wow, okay.
So
sweet.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on. And it's really just about finding out what we need to do to help people. And once we get that information, like, we're happy to be an information hub, because people keep coming to us for answers, and it's like, okay, well, if we don't have it, here's somebody that does. We just want to make sure the information that gets spread is the correct information, so people can be educated and do what they can do in their own communities to help.
See, I refuse to be educated. That's just how I am. I prefer my ignorance.
And this is not the interview for you.
No, I'm learning too much here. Jess, any final thoughts you want to share about the Dots RPG project?
There's a lot coming. There's
buckle up.
Yeah. I mean, we only went public March of 2018, and all this happened in just a few short months. So 2019's going to be a hell of a ride, but it's going to be great. And I can't thank everybody enough. Yeah.
Make sure you send me news pieces so I can get that out for you.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
There's a lot coming, so it's going to be good.
And of course, people can learn more by going to dotsrpg.com, correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. Jess, thank you very much for taking some time out. I know you were really, really busy today, so thanks for taking some time to share some info about the Dots RPG project.
I'm happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
All right, so thank you very much to Jess Dempsey over at Dots RPG Project for spending some time to talk to me about the project and what they've got going on. And I think it's a fantastic thing. I think it's really wild. And I do have to apologize because that was only the second interview I've actually recorded with this software that I use to stream. And the overlays cut the audio out. Yeah, try to be tricky like that. Oh, well, but I will make sure to fix that for the future. Hey, you know, you learn. That's what happens. You learn by doing things. So once again, by all means, definitely go over to dotsrpg.com to learn more about the fantastic work that group is doing. All right, so before I jump into the quick unboxing and first look at Relics of the Future for Shards of Infinity, let me show you what's coming up the rest of the week. On tomorrow's show, it is Wargame Wednesday, which I do have to point out, Wargame Wednesdays are now sponsored by Flying Pig Games and Tiny Battle Publishing. But I'm not looking at one of their games. I'm actually going to unbox and take a first look at the second edition of Andy and Abyss. This is one of the Coin Series games. This is the second edition. There's some changes in it. I'm not positive what just yet. So this is part of the big Coin Series reprint line that came out. So that'll be on tomorrow's show. Then on Thursday's show, Thursdays are always RPGs, or at least almost always RPGs. I will be reviewing Coriolis from Free League Publishing and Modifius Entertainment. I did a pretty detailed walkthrough and page through of this book a couple weeks back, and I will be reviewing that on Thursday. Then on Friday's show, as I knock some stuff over here, I am going to review the fantasy deck building game Shadow Rift from my friends over at Starling Games. This is a fantasy deck building game. So that is what's going to be on the rest of the week. All right. So I do want to also mention that as we were watching that video, I was chatting a bit with Kabuki Kid as well as Steve Womer. I hope Steve said I got the pronunciation correct. Steve was cool and actually made a donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund over at the ASPCA while we were watching that video. So that was pretty funny. There we go. I was just checking chat. Yes, Kabuki Kid's like, ooh, Andy and Abyss. Yeah, tune in tomorrow. I will be unboxing it. I reviewed it back when it came out. That was a while back. So, all right, as I mentioned, I am going to do an unboxing and take a first look at Shards of Infinity, Relics of the Future from StoneBlade Entertainment and Ultra Pro International. Designed by Gary Arendt and Justin Gary, with art provided by Aaron Nakahara. This expansion is available now. Carries an MSRP of $10. Let's move on over to the other camera. It's just a small little box. We're just going to pop this open, look at some of the cards. I reviewed Shards of Infinity. Wow. Was that all the way back in... might have been like February or March of last year. I want to say it was one of the earliest of the episode, one of the early episodes of the Daily Dope. Really. Okay, so this is an expansion. You do need the core game to play. It says the Shards of Infinity grant you visions of unimaginable power. In one future, you are a benevolent leader, harnessing your shard as a tool for good. Yeah, right. In another, you wield it as a mighty weapon to crush all enemies. Yeah, that's more like it. It's time to make a choice. Is your fate to lead your people to victory, or will you become the relic of some forgotten future? Relics of the Future is the first expansion to the critically acclaimed Shards of Infinity deck building game. Command 8 powerful relics, customize your strategy, add 24 new cards to the Shards of Infinity center deck, including new champions, allies, and mercenaries. Limitless strategy, infinite power. What more are you looking for? I mean, once you've got infinite power, I mean, that's pretty much it, right? So we get a little rules sheet, looks like. Yep, sure enough. Just a little fold out here. So, let's take a peek. Yeah, I don't want to cut this off here. So we've got the introduction, talking about the content. So we've got 32 new cards. Talking about the 2v2 team attack, 3-player bloodbath. Those I seem to recall from the core game. Single-player Nemesis challenge. I don't remember that off the top of my head. I have not played Shards of Infinity Solitaire. I know that for a fact. Okay, so a health auction, relic draft, mystery relics, bit of an FAQ. So there we go, just one sheet there. And let's get these cards out here. See, now you can see why. Oh, I thought for a second maybe that was kind of cut there. All right, you come on. I was going to say, now you can see why I didn't want to just make this the subject of the show, because it would basically have been, oh, well, hey, hi, everybody, here's a little bit of news. There's these cards. See you tomorrow. Kabuki Kid says, have yet to play this one. I'm taking a guess, Shards of Infinity. Check out the review. It's interesting. I gotta say, I don't really think it's reinventing the wheel, especially if you've played Ascension. But I gotta be honest, I like Shards of Infinity more than Ascension. That's just me. All right, so this looks like these are the center cards here. Yep. So we got the center cards. These are the relics. So are they all 10s? Yep, they're all 10s. Okay. So this is an ally relic. Terminal crescents. Dedic robes. Hey, what's with the same art? Boo! Panconscious Crown. Entropic Talons. The Heart of Nothing. Okay. The World Piercer. And another Praetorian. So, okay, that's kind of weird. No, I guess the artwork is specifically different, but same exact pose there? I don't know. That's a little cheesy, seeing that every other card is completely different artwork. All right, so those are the relics. All right, so then we've got some more allies here. We've got Drone. Got 3 of those. Cloud Oracles. 3 of those. All right, Devotees. 3 of these. Looks like we're setting a theme here with 3. I'm assuming we'll get some powerful ones that only have 1. Just a minute. So we've got Pulse Shades. I think that would more be like Pale Shades. Pulse Shades. Pulse Shades, that was my radio name in Saskatchewan. All right, so Mainframe Abbott. Okay, yep, there we go. Now we're getting like 2 Hounds of Volos. 2 of these, maybe? Yep. Lost. I'm guessing we got 2 of these. Yeah. Ferrata Guard, 2 of those. Yep. Now I'm going to take a guess. We'll probably only have 1 of each. So this is a champion here. Yep, sure enough. So Radian, Cloudmaster, Tower, Rack Priest, Rubovi, the Transcendent, and Axia. Well, I guess Axia doesn't get any sort of subtitle. I guess even though there are 7, they're too powerful. They don't need a subtitle. So, cool. All right. So we've got the 32 new cards. So we've got the new relics as well as the new allies and so forth items, it looked like. And we've got the little sheet for the rules. And that is what we find when we take everything from Shards of Infinity, Relics of the Future, from StoneBlade Entertainment and Ultra Pro Entertainment. I always say Ultra Pro International. I guess I should say entertainment. But I will actually have a quick review, probably be another one of these tacked on to another video, because, you know, how much can I talk about a 32 card expansion, right? Then again, you never know. Could turn out to be like completely mind-blowing, changes the game just radically. But yeah, definitely really enjoyed Shards of Infinity. Like I said, I want to say that's like, I don't want to say last winter, but it might have been like early spring that I did a review of that. So, and yes, it has done really well. I know a lot of people do dig it. So, as I mentioned on tomorrow's show, I will be unboxing and taking a first look at the new edition of Andy and Abyss from GMT Games on Wargame Wednesday. So, as I always like to point out, when you're not watching videos of the Daily Dope or on the Gaming Gang channel here on YouTube, please visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. I know you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much to Steve and the Kabuki Kid for hanging out. I think we had a couple other people hanging out, watching live. Just didn't jump in the chat, and that is fine. And of course, Steve, thank you very much for making that donation to Lil Bubs. Big fund. Cool deal. Good job, Steve. You got to check out Little Bub's website. You'll understand the whole good job thing. All right. So I will be back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, Thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.